Gravedigger. In a small village on the outskirts of England in the 19th century, two undertakers lived: old Harvey and his young apprentice, Paul. Harvey had been in the trade for decades, while Paul had only recently begun learning the craft. Their work was unremarkable yet essential, and the villagers respected them, though they kept their distance, for death always left its mark. One day, they received a mysterious order they could not refuse. A local man had died, a man shrouded in dark rumors. No one knew where he had come from, but the villagers avoided him, whispered behind his back, and feared him. The elderly women claimed he had made a pact with dark forces, and even animals recoiled from his presence. His house, with its tightly drawn curtains, had always seemed unsettling. Yet the deceaseds were left no room for discussion. His body had to be placed in a specially crafted coffin, built according to detailed instructions. It was a massive wooden sarcophagus, reinforced with thick iron bands. The lid was not secured with nails, but with an intricate lock, the key to which was held by the local notary. But what disturbed the undertakers most were the strange symbols carved into the coffin's inner walls. No one could decipher their meaning, yet even Harvey, who had seen many things in his lifetime, felt uneasy. "Do you know what they say about him?" Paul whispered as they led the hearse toward the cemetery. "We should hurry and leave," Harvey replied curtly, quickening his pace. By the time they reached the grave, the sun was setting, painting the sky in crimson hues. The wind had picked up, making the trees around them sway, as if listening to what was about to unfold. Paul couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching them from the shadows. "Let's finish quickly," Harvey muttered, preparing to lower the coffin into the grave. But as soon as they began, a strange pressure filled the air. Then, a grating sound echoed, a noise like nails scraping against metal. Paul froze, his heart pounding. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, stepping back. Harvey said nothing, only clenched his jaw and tightened his grip on the ropes. But then, with a loud clang, the coffin's lid shifted. The corpse sat up. Its face was contorted in anger, its eyes burned with a wild fury, and its lips moved as if muttering a curse. Paul screamed and fled in terror. He ran blindly through the darkness, not caring where he was going, not daring to look back. Behind him, he heard Harvey's cry, a scream filled with agony and fear. But Paul did not turn around. His only thought was to reach the village and get help. When he finally burst into the constable's house, he was shaking, his breath ragged with panic. It stood up," he gasped. "The dead man, he got out of the coffin." A group of officers quickly grabbed their lanterns and weapons and followed Paul to the graveyard. He led them, breathless, dreading what he might find. When they arrived, everything seemed eerily still. Only the wind whispered through the grass. Paul pointed toward the disturbed grave. The officers cautiously approached and began digging. Soon, their shovels struck the coffin's lid. They hesitated, then pried it open. Inside lay only Harvey, lifeless, his eyes wide with terror, his mouth frozen in a silent scream. His face bore an expression of indescribable horror, and his hands were clenched as if he had tried to fight something unseen. But the body they had buried was gone. The officers exchanged uneasy glances, speechless. There was no protocol for such a case. Paul could not stay in that village any longer. He fled to London, leaving everything behind, hoping to forget the nightmare he had witnessed. But soon, new rumors began to spread. The villagers claimed that at night, someone could be seen wandering near the graveyard, and those who passed by swore they could hear a familiar, haunting sound like nails scraping against metal.